The grand, opulent chamber of the Galactic Council was filled with a diverse group of alien species, each one more powerful and technologically advanced than the last. Their meeting was a routine affair, as they discussed the fate of lesser civilizations scattered across the galaxy. But this time, the topic at hand was Earth and its growing potential. The members of the Council had met for many years, debating the future of lesser species, and Earth, considered by them to be a primitive world, was no exception. As the holographic screen flickered to life, showing a live feed of Earth's planet, the conversation turned to humanity. The aliens, who had watched Earth's development from a distance, couldn't help but mock the idea that this primitive species could ever rise to challenge them. "We are discussing humans," said Zothar, a tall and imposing alien with scales that shimmered like metal. His voice carried a mixture of disdain and disbelief. "They've only just mastered flight and are still fighting amongst themselves. They have no real potential to explore the stars." Another council member, Talara, a sleek and cold-skinned alien from the planet Vrax, chimed in with a dry laugh. Yes, their idea of space exploration consists of throwing metal capsules into orbit. If they think they're ready for the cosmos, they're sorely mistaken. The room erupted into laughter, the deep rumblings of alien voices filling the space. The council members all seemed to agree that humans were far from a threat. They viewed Earth's growing space programs as a fleeting trend, a meaningless pursuit of a species that didn't understand the true power of spacefaring civilizations. To them, Earth was an insignificant speck, a world full of primitive beings that had yet to understand their place in the vast galaxy. However, there was one voice of dissent in the room. Archon Zithar, an elder alien from the planet Vaskor, known for his wisdom and unusual foresight. His face, etched with age, held a hint of concern, and his voice cut through the laughter, sharp and serious. "Fools," he muttered, his eyes narrowing as he gazed at the image of Earth on the screen. "I have been watching the humans closely, and something is not right. There are energy anomalies coming from their solar system. They are developing something we don't fully understand." For a moment, the room fell silent. The other members looked at Zithar, unimpressed. They were used to his warnings. Many times, he had spoken of threats that turned out to be nothing. Zithar was known for being overly cautious, often seeing threats where others saw none. "This is just another one of your wild theories, Zithar," Talara said dismissively. "Let them play with their toys. They are no match for us, and certainly no threat to the Galactic Council." Zithar's unease only deepened. He didn't respond immediately, knowing he wasn't being taken seriously. He had witnessed something, a strange pulse of energy coming from Earth's direction, something that suggested the humans were on the verge of something far more advanced than they could imagine. His warnings were met with laughter, but the elder alien could not shake the feeling that something big was about to happen. Meanwhile, on Earth, the situation couldn't have been more different. As the Galactic Council dismissed the potential of humanity, there were those on Earth who knew the truth. Humanity was on the brink of a technological revolution. The scientists, the engineers, the visionaries, many of them had worked tirelessly for years, trying to solve the mystery of faster-than-light, FTL, travel. Most had failed, and the task seemed impossible. But then came a breakthrough. Dr. Elena Marks, a brilliant and driven scientist, had cracked the code. After years of research, she had discovered the key to FTL travel. The formula was complex, beyond anything that humanity had ever understood, but it worked. She had unlocked the power to send a spaceship to distant stars in the blink of an eye. Now, Elena was racing against time to test her creation. She was not working alone, however. Captain Jason Hale, a skilled and fearless pilot, had been chosen to command the first FTL flight. Hale was a man of action, confident, brave, and willing to risk everything for humanity's future. Along with his crew, Hale had been preparing for the test flight that would change everything. The tension in the control room of the Phoenix Research Station was palpable. Scientists hustled from console to console, making final adjustments to the FTL drive that would power the ship EOS. The lad was bathed in the glow of monitors, and the hum of advanced machines filled the air. "This is it," Alina said softly to Hale as she stood beside him, watching the screens flicker with data. Her voice was steady, but beneath it was an undercurrent of nervousness. After years of research, the moment had arrived. Jason Hale gave her a confident smile. "We've trained for this. We're ready." He understood the stakes. This wasn't just a test flight. This was humanity's chance to prove that they weren't just a primitive species to be dismissed. They were on the verge of something monumental. The first ship capable of FTL travel. The first step towards becoming a true player on the galactic stage. As Hale strapped into his pilot's seat, he glanced at the crew, his friends, his teammates. Each one of them knew the importance of this mission. The FTL flight was humanity's final chance to demonstrate its worth. If they succeeded, they would have the power to change the balance of power in the galaxy. The countdown began, and the atmosphere in the room became charged with anticipation. The EOS was sitting on the launch pad, its sleek, silver hull gleaming under the bright lights. The ship was armed with the latest technology, cloaking devices, advanced shielding, and weapons designed to ensure that humanity could defend itself once it made its presence known in the galaxy. Alina watched the monitors, her fingers hovering over the controls. She could feel her heart racing in her chest. It wasn't just her career at stake. It was the future of Earth, the future of humanity. This was the moment that would decide whether they would live under the shadows of other, more powerful species, or whether they would rise to claim their place among the stars. "All systems are go," one of the engineers reported. Jason Hale gave Alina a nod, and with a deep breath, he spoke into his comms. "Initiating FTL jump on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Mark." The EOS powered up, the hum of its engines vibrating through the floor. It was a moment of quiet tension before the storm. The world's eyes were watching. The Galactic Council was unaware that this small test flight could change everything. In the final moments before launch, Alina caught Hale's eyes for a brief moment, and something unspoken passed between them. She could feel it. She wasn't just sending a ship into space. She was sending humanity's hopes and dreams into the unknown. And she wasn't alone. They were all in this together, pushing forward, knowing that this flight would be the first step in a much bigger journey. With a final push, the ship shot into the atmosphere, disappearing in an instant, faster than anyone could comprehend. The morning of the test flight was still and quiet, as if the world was holding its breath in anticipation. On the launch pad, the EOS stood ready, a gleaming symbol of humanity's ambition and determination. It wasn't just any ship. It was Earth's first FTL-capable vessel, a ship that had the potential to change the course of history. Inside the command room, Captain Jason Hale stood by the large bay window, staring out at the ship with a focused gaze. His heart pounded in his chest, but his expression remained calm, determined. He had led countless missions before, but this one was different. This mission wasn't just about testing a new technology. It was about proving humanity's place in the galaxy. Dr. Elena Marks, the scientist behind the breakthrough, entered the room quietly. She had been working day and night on this project, and today, all her hard work would either pay off or crumble into failure. The pressure on her was immense, but she had never been more ready. "Captain," Elena said, her voice steady yet tinged with the same nervous energy that filled the room. "I think we're ready." Jason turned to face her, offering a smile that was both reassuring and filled with unspoken understanding. There were no words to describe the weight of what was about to happen. They both knew that the success of this mission wasn't just about them. It was about the entire planet, the future of humanity. If they failed, the consequences would be catastrophic, not just for them, but for the entire world. Elena's eyes met Jason's, and in that brief moment, they understood each other completely. The unspoken bond between them grew stronger. They were partners in this mission, not just in their professional lives, but in the fate of humanity itself. The bond was not romantic, but it was rooted in a deep respect for each other's strength, intellect, and courage. Both knew that the stakes were higher than they could have imagined. If this mission failed, it might mean the end of Earth's dreams of becoming a spacefaring species. Jason gave a slight nod, his jaw tightening with resolve. "We've trained for this. We're ready." Alina offered him a small smile. "Let's make sure we don't disappoint them." The team was ready, but unknown to them, the quiet tension inside the command room was nothing compared to the scrutiny from outside. Hidden deep within the shadows, far beyond the reach of Earth's sensors, an alien race, one that had been watching humanity closely for years, was also waiting. The Galactic Council, dismissing humanity as primitive, had set their eyes on Earth's efforts. They had no intention of letting humanity rise to power without interference. They were watching through their hidden surveillance, ready to strike at any moment. Outside, the EOS began its final preparations for launch. The FTL drive, a marvel of human engineering, hummed with life as the technicians made their final adjustments. The engineers, dressed in sleek uniforms, rushed to ensure everything was in place. There was a buzz of activity as the countdown clock ticked down. For the crew, there was no time to waste. Jason Hale climbed into the cockpit, his fingers moving over the controls with practiced ease. Behind him, Alina watched from a console, monitoring the readings and ensuring everything was ready for the first test jump. The FTL drive had never been tested in space, and the stakes were higher than anyone could have imagined. This was humanity's first true step into the stars, and if it failed, it would mean the end of any hope for humanity to become a galactic power. The thought of failure was unthinkable, but still, the fear of the unknown crept into their minds. The countdown continued. T-5 minutes. The voice of the mission control officer echoed through the speakers. Inside the EOS, Jason could feel the pulse of the ship as the engines powered up. The technology was cutting edge, with energy fields swirling around the ship's hull in preparation for the jump. The entire crew was silent, each one of them in their own mental space, focusing on the mission ahead. "We are go for FTL," came the voice of Alina over the comms, her tone calm, but tinged with a quiet sense of pride. Jason's hands tightened around the controls as the countdown continued. 3, 2, 1. The sound of the engines roaring to life filled the ship, and in an instant, the EOS surged forward with a sudden jolt, its acceleration nearly beyond comprehension. The ship shot forward faster than any human technology had ever dreamed possible. For a brief moment, the EOS disappeared into the vast expanse of space. The sensation of speed was overwhelming. Humans had never traveled so fast, not even in their wildest dreams. They had just achieved FTL travel. For a fraction of a second, they had made history. But something was wrong. A strange flicker of light appeared on the ship's sensors. The ship's cloak, which had been designed to remain dormant during the test flight, had somehow activated. The EOS, Earth's first FTL ship, was now invisible to anyone who might be watching. Jason Hale's eyes widened as the unexpected anomaly disrupted the smooth course of the flight. "What the hell?" Jason muttered under his breath. The ship had been equipped with advanced cloaking technology, designed as a defense mechanism against potential attacks. But it wasn't supposed to be engaged during the test. "Alina, something's wrong." Jason's voice crackled over the comms. Alina's fingers danced across the control panel, her face lit up by the glow of the screens. The cloaking system just activated on its own. It's scrambling the FTL signal. For a moment, the EOS was hidden in the vastness of space. The alien surveillance systems, which had been tracking Earth's every move, were now completely blind to the ship. The EOS had become a ghost in the void, invisible to the watching eyes of the Galactic Council. Back at the Galactic Council's surveillance base, the aliens who had been monitoring the test mission were now scratching their heads in confusion. The EOS had disappeared from their radar. They had expected to see the ship fail, or at least to observe the humans' pitiful attempts at space travel. But now, it was gone. What's happening? The target is gone. Where is it? An alien officer barked, watching the empty screen in disbelief. The entire surveillance team scrambled to find the ship, but it was too late. Humanity had just completed their first successful FTL jump, and the rest of the galaxy had no idea it had even happened. Jason Hale and the crew felt the jolt of the FTL jump settle as the ship surged into the unknown. They had done it. The mission was a success. Despite the unexpected glitch with the cloaking device, they had just made history. Humanity had broken through the barriers of space and time. "We did it," Elena whispered, her voice a mixture of disbelief and joy. It worked. The EOs shot through the stars, the vast unknown stretching out before them. They had accomplished the impossible, and the weight of that achievement was heavy on their shoulders. But they knew that this was just the beginning. Now that the ship was safely in deep space, it was time to test its return capabilities. But more importantly, they needed to make sure the galaxy knew humanity wasn't to be underestimated. In the hidden shadows, the alien spies were still fumbling to understand what had just happened. They had no idea that Earth's first FTL flight had been successful, and they would continue to underestimate humanity for the time being. But the truth was now out. Earth was not as weak as they thought. And this was just the beginning. After the first successful test flight of EOs, the atmosphere within the Galactic Council was one of confusion, followed by dismissive laughter. The news of Earth's achievement spread through the alien empire like wildfire, but no one took it seriously. To the high-ranking members of the Council, humanity was still just a primitive species. They had no advanced technology, no grand civilization capable of producing something truly revolutionary. How could these insignificant humans suddenly leap into faster-than-light FTL travel? Impossible. One of the members, a tall insectoid being named Vorak, scoffed. These humans cannot have discovered FTL. It's beyond them. One successful flight doesn't change their standing in the galaxy. Perhaps it was a fluke. Another member, Calyx, a cold, calculating AI entity, added, "Let us see if they can replicate it. If not, this is just a waste of time." Arkshan Zithar, the lone voice of caution within the council, disagreed. His antennae twitched as he pondered the implications. "I've been monitoring their solar system, and there is more to this than a single jump. Their scientists have developed something extraordinary. We cannot ignore this." But his warnings fell on deaf ears. The rest of the council remained unconvinced, believing Earth's achievement to be a one-off. The humans were simply not capable of repeating such a breakthrough. "Send a few scout ships to Earth," ordered Supreme Chancellor Thalric, the council's leader. "Let's observe their progress. But do not concern yourselves with them unless they show true promise. I will not waste resources on a species that is beneath us." The scout ships would be sent to observe Earth, not to fight. The council's members remained arrogantly sure of their technological superiority. They assumed that humanity would be quickly quelled by the vast technological gap that still existed between them. On Earth, the mood was completely different. The excitement following EO's successful FTL jump fueled a sense of urgency. Scientists, engineers, and military leaders worked tirelessly around the clock to mass-produce more FTL ships. The breakthrough was monumental, but they knew that it was only the beginning. Humanity now had the power to explore space, and they were determined to show the galaxy that they were more than capable of defending their newfound territory. Captain Jason Hale and Dr. Elena Marks were at the forefront of the project, overseeing the mass production of FTL ships. Each day, new prototypes were constructed, tested, and readied for future missions. The team had no idea that they were under surveillance by alien eyes. In the command center, Jason looked over the final plans for the new fleet. "We're making progress, Elena," he said, his eyes reflecting both excitement and exhaustion. "We'll be ready soon. I just hope the council doesn't take notice too early." Elena smiled, her fingers tapping rhythmically on the table as she worked through calculations. "Don't worry about them, Jason. The Council may think we're nothing, but we're building something they won't be able to stop. They're still underestimating us." It was an optimism that Jason shared, but a small part of him couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was on the horizon. He had a nagging sense that the Council would not remain passive for long. Their arrogance might have led them to dismiss humanity, but it would also leave them vulnerable when the time came for Earth to strike. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council was far from idle. Despite their initial dismissal of humanity's FTL leap, their scout ships were already en route to Earth. The Council sent a series of spy ships, highly advanced and equipped with cloaking technology, to gather intelligence and sabotage humanity's growing fleet. They were not yet prepared for direct confrontation, but they intended to prevent Earth from gaining any further technological advantage. The alien spies had one mission: disrupt humanity's progress before it could escalate. They began to infiltrate Earth's communication networks, gathering intel on the new FTL fleet and identifying weak points in the production line. The Council believed that a quick and subtle strike could cripple humanity's space program before it had a chance to become a threat. As the days passed, Jason and Elena continued to monitor the progress of the new ships. But the closer they got to launching their new fleet, the more the sense of impending danger grew. Something was off. Jason could feel it in his gut. They had pushed the boundaries of space travel, but they had also made enemies in the process. Enemies who would not hesitate to destroy everything they had worked for. It wasn't just the ships that were keeping Jason up at night. The fear of the unknown was creeping into his thoughts. What would happen if the Council attacked? How would they fight back against forces so much stronger than their own? They didn't have the military might or the advanced weapons to win a direct confrontation. They had only their wits, their technology, and the determination to survive. One evening, after a long day of testing and planning, Jason found himself alone with Elena in the command center. The tension was thick in the air. They both knew something was coming, but neither of them could predict what it would be. "Do you think we're ready?" Jason asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The question wasn't just about the ships, it was about the future. Elena looked at him, her face serious but calm. "I think we're as ready as we can be. The ships are ready. The technology is sound, but we can't control what the Council does. We can only control what we do." Jason nodded, though the weight of the situation still hung over him. For the first time, he wasn't so sure about the certainty of their victory. The fate of Earth, the future of humanity, all rested on their shoulders. Then, in an uncharacteristic move, Elena stepped closer to Jason. She placed a hand on his shoulder, a rare moment of connection between them. "We'll figure it out," she said softly, her words carrying more weight than usual. "Together, we'll make sure they don't take our future." Jason didn't say anything at first. He simply met her gaze, feeling the truth in her words. He had come to trust her completely. The battle ahead would be unlike any they had ever faced, but at least they would face it together. Unbeknownst to Jason and Elena, the alien spy ships had already arrived in Earth's orbit. Cloaked and silent, they observed the growing fleet of human ships from afar, keeping their distance while gathering valuable intel. The spy ships transmitted data back to the Galactic Council, who received the first hints of humanity's true potential. The Council was beginning to understand that humanity wasn't as primitive as they had once believed. However, despite their growing concern, the Council still underestimated the humans. They believed that by striking quickly and quietly, they could sabotage the production lines and eliminate any chance of Earth becoming a true galactic power. The pieces were set, the stage was ready, and while the humans prepared for the next phase of their journey into space, the Council began to make its move. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin. The tension had been building for weeks. Humanity had made its move, but they didn't know yet that the Galactic Council had finally taken notice. What they didn't expect was just how quickly the Council would respond with devastating force. The first attack on Earth's space stations came without warning. One moment, the Earth's orbital defense fleet was monitoring the quiet expanse of space, and the next, they were under assault. Massive alien ships, sleek and powerful, emerged from the darkness, their weapons charged and ready. The alien fleet was colossal, far larger than any force humanity had ever faced. These ships were controlled by advanced AI systems, a testament to the technological superiority of the Galactic Council. The AI drones operated with cold precision, launching laser barrages at the space stations with pinpoint accuracy. Massive shields shimmered as the blast struck, the very atmosphere of space trembling with each hit. The space station's defensive systems fought back valiantly, but they were clearly outmatched. The human fleet was vastly outnumbered. Earth's ships, though advanced, were smaller and less experienced in large-scale space battles. They hadn't yet perfected their techniques for direct confrontation with such superior firepower. But humanity was known for one thing above all else: ingenuity. The humans, though outgunned, weren't prepared to give up without a fight. As the alien ships began their attack, Captain Jason Hale and his crew aboard the EOS sprang into action. The EOS was the crown jewel of humanity's fleet, but even it would have a hard time holding its own in a head-on battle with the Galactic Council's warships. Jason knew that their best chance was to fight smarter, not harder. He ordered his fleet to engage in guerrilla tactics, using the element of surprise and the advantages of stealth to gain an upper hand. The humans had recently developed cloaking devices, which allowed their ships to temporarily disappear from the alien radar. As alien fire rained down on Earth's space stations, the human fleet zipped through the chaos, invisible to the naked eye, using the cover of the space debris and wreckage left behind by the initial barrage. The human ships zipped through tight spaces, darting behind asteroids and using clever maneuvers to avoid alien fire. The aliens, confident in their superior technology, were caught off guard. The sudden appearance of a cloaked ship in the heart of their formation was all it took. The humans struck with incredible precision. A well-aimed burst of laser fire from the EOS hit one of the larger alien warships in its weakest spot, causing a massive explosion. The ship broke apart, sending shockwaves through the surrounding fleet. For a brief moment, the humans had a small victory, but the battle was far from over. Realizing they couldn't match the aliens in sheer power, the human fleet used their ingenuity to create an entirely new approach to warfare. The EOS and its companions launched orbital bombardments, a tactic that involved raining down fire from high above, targeting the alien fleet's most vulnerable points. The explosions were immense. Bright flashes of light lit up the dark expanse of space as the human fleet unleashed an onslaught of missiles and energy beams. The alien ships, powerful but not invincible, were struck in their weak spots. The engines, power cores, and shield generators. The first wave of strikes sent massive alien warships spiraling out of control, their systems failing as their power sources detonated. Massive explosions rocked the battlefield. Alien ships, once untouchable in the eyes of the Council, began to falter. The humans were not only holding their own, they were dealing significant damage. One of the most intense moments of the battle came when Captain Hale personally directed a bombardment from the EOS. As the ship hovered over the battlefield, Hale gave the order. The bombardment was swift and devastating. Missiles rained down in precise formations, each strike sending ripples through the enemy fleet. Human ships began to close in, using the cover of explosions to land direct hits on the alien warships. Laser fire collided with alien armor, sending sparks flying in every direction. The sight of a once mighty alien warship breaking apart in front of them was both terrifying and exhilarating. As the battle continued to rage, the underdog spirit of humanity was unmistakable. Despite the overwhelming odds against them, the humans fought with an unmatched sense of determination. They were fighting not just for survival, but for their place in the galaxy. The battle wasn't without its cost. The human forces were being decimated at a staggering rate. Soldiers, pilots, and crew members were sacrificing their lives at every turn. The alien ships continued their relentless assault, sending wave after wave of laser blasts, missiles, and drones to crush Earth's forces. It was a war of attrition. One soldier in particular stood out, Private Bonner, a young man who had joined the fleet in the hopes of serving a cause greater than himself. He was part of a small strike team that boarded an alien warship to disable its core systems. Bonner and his team fought their way through narrow, damaged corridors of the alien ship, pushing deeper into the heart of the vessel. They knew they didn't have much time. They planted explosives on key systems, knowing it would only buy Earth's fleet a few more precious minutes. But before they could escape, a group of alien soldiers cornered them. Bonner held the line, fighting fiercely to protect his comrades. He managed to take down a few of the alien soldiers before the inevitable happened. With a final, heroic act, Bonner activated the explosives, knowing it would be his last move. The explosion rocked the alien ship, sending it into chaos. As Bonner's sacrifice bought Earth's forces some time, his death became a rallying cry for the humans. He had given everything for the cause, and his sacrifice was felt deeply by everyone on the human side. Captain Hale and Dr. Marks mourned his loss, knowing that each fallen soldier brought them one step closer to their ultimate goal. Jason, though filled with grief, knew that the battle wasn't over. Bonner's death would not be in vain. Every sacrifice, every loss, was a reminder of what was at stake. As the battle continued, both sides began to realize just how costly this war would be. The alien fleet, once seen as invincible, was beginning to show signs of faltering. Their ships were losing power, and their coordinated attacks were no longer as effective. Meanwhile, the human fleet was proving its resilience. Each strike against the alien invaders was a testament to the courage and creativity of Earth's defenders. The battle was far from over, but one thing was clear: humanity was not going to give up. The underdog spirit was alive and well, and every alien ship that fell was proof that the Galactic Council had made a grave mistake in underestimating Earth. Jason Hale, standing at the helm of the EOs, looked out at the battlefield, knowing that the true test had just begun. Humanity had struck back, but the ultimate victory was still uncertain. The war for Earth's place in the galaxy had only just begun. The tides of war were turning. Earth's fleet had fought valiantly, pushing back against the superior alien force. The alien fleet, once thought invincible, was now severely damaged. Many of their flagship warships had been destroyed, and the survivors were retreating to their final stronghold, their mothership, a colossal vessel that served as the command center for their fleet. Captain Jason Hale stood aboard the EOs, surveying the battlefield. The enemy fleet had retreated, but this was far from over. The EOs and the remaining human ships had taken a heavy toll, but the fight wasn't just about holding off the aliens anymore. It was about finishing the fight. Jason turned to Dr. Elena Marks, his trusted ally. "We've damaged their fleet, but the mothership is still operational," he said, his voice filled with resolve. "If we don't disable their command center, they'll regroup and counterattack. We need to end this now." Elena nodded. She could see the determination in Jason's eyes, and she knew that if they didn't act quickly, the Council would rebuild its strength and come back with a vengeance. The final strike would have to be precise. In a daring move, Captain Hale made the decision to use their last remaining ships to infiltrate the alien mothership. This was no small feat. The mothership was heavily defended, surrounded by numerous alien fighters and drones. But Jason believed they had one chance to win it all, and it wasn't through brute force. It would be a covert mission. The plan was simple, but risky. Hale's team, a small but elite squad of soldiers, would board the mothership and disable its AI control center. The AI controlled the entire alien fleet, from the weapons systems to the command protocols. If they could disable the mothership's AI, the alien fleet would be rendered powerless. As the team prepared for the mission, there was a noticeable shift in the air. The stakes had never been higher. The success or failure of this operation would determine the fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. With their futuristic weapons in hand and their advanced armor fitted, Captain Hale and his crew suited up. The team was composed of some of Earth's best soldiers, all volunteers for this high-risk mission. Among them was Lieutenant Jenkins, a quick-thinking soldier, and Corporal Mason, a silent but deadly combatant with unparalleled skill in hand-to-hand combat. The team boarded the EOS's remaining stealth shuttle, cloaked to avoid detection by the alien forces. As the shuttle slipped through the debris field of destroyed ships, they made their way toward the mothership. From the outside, it looked like an impenetrable fortress, its dark hull dotted with weapons systems and surveillance drones. But Hale had faith in his team. This was their one shot. Once aboard, they fought through the alien defenses, which were far fiercer than they had anticipated. The alien guards were relentless, but Earth's soldiers were more than a match. They advanced through the narrow corridors, engaging in intense firefights with the alien sentries. The humans used their advanced weapons, which fired energy pulses that cut through the alien armor with ease. The soldiers were outfitted with state-of-the-art armor that enhanced their strength and speed, giving them the edge in combat. Despite this, they faced overwhelming odds. The alien ship was alive with activity, and it was clear the AI had already detected their presence. Drone after drone launched at them from the shadows, forcing the humans to fight tooth and nail through the halls of the mothership. As the team advanced, Captain Hale made sure to keep them focused. "We can't afford to fail," he reminded them. "This is the moment we've been fighting for." In the heat of the battle, close-quarters combat became the primary means of survival. Corporal Mason was particularly effective in this situation, using his training in hand-to-hand combat to take down multiple alien soldiers in a single move. His strength and speed were unmatched as he worked his way through the alien ranks, clearing a path for the others to follow. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Jenkins hacked into the alien systems, opening doors and disabling security protocols. "We're almost there," he said, breathless but determined. The deeper they went into the mothership, the more intense the fighting became. Every corner seemed to hold an ambush, but the humans pressed forward, refusing to let the aliens stop them. The team finally reached their destination, the AI Control Center. It was a vast, high-tech room, filled with alien machinery and flickering screens. The central AI core, a massive construct that controlled the mothership's systems, was located in the center of the room. This was the heart of the alien fleet. But as the team made their final approach, the weight of the mission became clear. Private Bonner, who had given his life during the earlier battle, had died to buy them time. The explosion he triggered on the alien warship had disrupted the mothership's defensive systems for just long enough to allow the humans to infiltrate. His sacrifice wasn't in vain. It had given them the edge they needed. Hale felt the weight of Bonner's loss as they prepared to complete the mission. He remembered the young soldier's final words before he perished. "For Earth, Captain." Those words echoed in Jason's mind as they moved forward. Bonner's memory fueled their determination, pushing them past their limits. As they reached the AI core, they could hear the hum of the alien machinery. They had mere minutes to act before the system rebooted. Captain Hale gave the command, "Plant the charges. We end this now." Lieutenant Jenkins and Corporal Mason moved to disable the AI, working quickly but carefully. But then, something unexpected happened. The AI suddenly came to life, activating a series of defense systems that had been dormant until now. The room filled with blinding lights, and the sound of alarms echoed through the halls. The team found themselves trapped. The alien AI had launched a counterattack, sending waves of deadly energy pulses toward them. It was a race against time, one last push to shut down the system before it could retaliate. Hale knew what had to be done. Bonner's sacrifice had bought them the time they needed, and now it was time to finish what he had started. With resolve in his eyes, Captain Hale reached for the last charge and planted it directly into the core of the AI system. The countdown began. As the charges detonated, the AI core exploded in a brilliant flash of light, sending shockwaves through the entire mothership. The power systems began to fail, and the once mighty alien fleet was thrown into chaos. With the AI disabled, the alien ships began to lose their cohesion. Their weapon systems went offline, and their shields flickered. The mothership, once a symbol of the Galactic Council's strength, was now just a hulking wreck, vulnerable and defeated. The remaining alien ships, unable to function without the mothership's control, were forced into retreat. The victory was theirs. Humanity had won. But even in the midst of their triumph, Captain Hale and Dr. Marks knew the cost of war. The lives lost, especially Bonner's, would never be forgotten. It was his sacrifice that had made this victory possible. As the human fleet watched the alien ships retreat into the depths of space, Captain Hale took a moment to reflect. "We've proven ourselves," he said quietly. "We're no longer the weak species they thought we were. Humanity has taken its place among the stars." And with that, the battle for Earth was over. But the journey had just begun. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity was no longer an afterthought in the galaxy. They had earned their right to survive, to fight, and to thrive. Victory was theirs. The battlefield was quiet now. The once mighty alien fleet, the pride of the Galactic Council, had been shattered. The massive alien mothership, the very heart of their war machine, was no more. It had been destroyed by humanity's courage, ingenuity, and determination. The human fleet, though battered and scarred, stood victorious, their ships drifting slowly through the debris of the alien fleet, now devoid of leadership. The alien ships, their command structure thrown into disarray, began to retreat in complete chaos. Without the central coordination of the mothership, their once formidable forces were now a scattered, vulnerable mess. They fired blindly into space, retreating in every direction, desperate to escape Earth's forces. Their defeat was complete, their empire crippled, and their pride shattered. Captain Jason Hale stood on the bridge of the Eos, watching as the alien ships flood into the void of space. His heart pounded, a mix of relief, pride, and the weight of the lives lost in the battle. Private Bonner, Lieutenant Jenkins, and so many others had given their lives to make this moment possible. The victory was bittersweet. While Earth had won, it came at a terrible cost. The human fleet had lost many good men and women in their fight for survival, and Jason could feel the weight of each sacrifice on his shoulders. But this was more than just a military victory. Humanity had proven to the entire galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. They had struck back against an empire that had once thought of them as nothing more than an insignificant species, an easy target. Now, the Galactic Council would have to reckon with the fact that humans were no longer the weak, defenseless species they once believed them to be. "We did it," Dr. Elena Marks said quietly, her voice filled with awe. She had been by Jason's side through every moment of this fight. And now, standing on the bridge, the relief was palpable. The battle had been hard fought, but it was over. For now, humanity was safe. Jason turned to her, his face reflecting the same sense of quiet triumph. "Yes, we did." He paused for a moment, looking out at the remains of the battlefield, then added, "But this is just the beginning. We've proven our strength. Now we have to make sure they understand that we won't be pushed around again." Back in the heart of the Galactic Council, the leaders of the alien species gathered. Their once unchallenged power had been thrown into turmoil. The mothership's destruction had been the final blow, and now the remaining ships were retreating, leaderless and crippled. The Council's representatives had watched in horror as their fleet fell apart under the relentless assault of humanity's fighters. The leaders of the Galactic Council had thought that they could easily crush this young, primitive species. They believed that humanity was nothing more than a curious, aggressive race, incapable of matching the technological might of their galactic empire. But what they hadn't counted on was humanity's unrelenting spirit. The aliens had underestimated the resilience, the bravery, and the ingenuity of Earth's people. Ambassador Xalith, one of the senior members of the Council, stood in front of a massive holographic display, watching the remnants of the alien fleet retreat into the darkness. His face was grim, a stark contrast to his usual confident demeanor. He had led the attack against Earth, convinced that victory was a foregone conclusion. Now he realized that his belief in their superiority had been misplaced. How could we have been so wrong? Xalith muttered under his breath. We thought them weak, incapable of standing against us. He turned to the other council members, their faces equally stunned by the turn of events. The once mighty Galactic Council, with its powerful fleets and vast reach, was now facing a species they had dismissed for centuries. Humans had not only withstood their aggression, but had fought back and defeated them. It was a humbling realization, one that shook the very foundation of the Council's arrogance. In the coming days, the Council would meet in emergency sessions, trying to understand how they had underestimated humanity so severely. They would debate the possibility of further conflict, but the fear that now gripped them was palpable. No one had expected the human fleet to stand a chance, but humanity had proven to be anything but weak. While the Galactic Council scrambled to assess their defeat, Captain Hale and Dr. Marks were preparing their fleet for the next phase. The human victory, while significant, was not enough. The time had come for humanity to take control of its future. The alien forces might be in retreat, but that didn't mean the war was over. With the last remnants of the alien fleet scattered across the galaxy, Captain Hale's orders were clear. The human fleet would now head toward the Council's homeworld. Earth had earned the right to speak with the leaders of the galaxy on its own terms. It was time for humanity to lay down their demands and ensure their future survival. "We've fought hard," Hale said, addressing his crew. "Now we need to make sure they understand that Earth won't be their punching bag anymore. We'll demand respect, peace, and acknowledgement. We've earned it." The journey to the Council's homeworld was long, but the mood among the human fleet was one of quiet determination. They had been through hell together, and they had come out victorious. As the fleet neared the heart of the Galactic Council's domain, Captain Hale stood at the bridge, staring out into the vastness of space. Dr. Marks stood beside him, her gaze also fixed on the stars. There was a moment of silence between them, a moment that spoke volumes about the bond they had formed throughout this struggle. Through all the chaos, the fear, the sacrifice, they had come to trust each other completely. Their bond was now unshakable, built on the shared experience of fighting for humanity's future. "There's no going back now," Alina said softly, breaking the silence. "No," Jason agreed, his voice filled with determination. "But there's no reason to go back. We're ready for whatever comes next." As the human fleet approached the Galactic Council's homeworld, a new chapter in humanity's history was about to begin. The species that had once been viewed as weak, insignificant, and primitive was now on the verge of becoming a major power in the galaxy. The victory over the alien forces had given Earth a newfound confidence, a confidence that would shape the way humanity interacted with the universe from that moment on. For Captain Hale and Dr. Marks, this was just the beginning. The challenges ahead were uncertain, but they had faced the impossible and won. Together, they would lead humanity into this new era, one where Earth was no longer the underdog, but a force to be reckoned with. As Jason Hale looked out over the galaxy, he felt a deep sense of pride. Earth had survived, and now humanity was ready to take its place among the stars. The journey had been long, but the new dawn for humanity was here, and no one, not even the mighty Galactic Council, would ever look at Earth the same way again.